from Mike Cernovich. He says, Democrats are flipping seats left and right. When Trump isn't on the ballot, low-propensity voters stay home. There's no viable Republican Party. It's the Trump Party, and tonight is another reminder of this. That's a scary prospect because that means Republicans will lose the midterms. Trump will be removed from office, or at least his chance of doing anything will be completely destroyed. And come 2028, Democrats will take over, and then conservatives. I'm going to go with Scott Adams on this one. When he said Republicans will be hunted, the only mistake he made was that he was a few years too early. And everyone made fun of him for this, like, bro, calm down. Then you've had a couple of targeted killings of conservatives. You've had the attacks on Tesla and ICE facilities. I genuinely believe now, with someone like Jay Jones projected to win, Scott Adams was right just a little early. If it is true that people will not vote unless Trump is on the ballot, the Republican Party is fried, then Trump leaves in 2028, that's it. Democrats are going to come in. There's going to be a communist authoritarian takeover. And I mean, communist somewhat lightly. It's not going to be as overt as like the Soviet Union. It'll be more like Chinese Communist Party. And they'll kill people. It's I stand by my prediction that by this time next year, we'll be looking at another major assassination of a political figure.
Yeah.
Before the midterms.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, like a big part of the problem is this, even though we sort of have push the never Trumpers to the bench to some degree, that contingent has remanifested itself. And you have this huge problem in the Beltway of these cocktail party conservatives who just want to like write glossy National Review articles all day instead of actually, because they view winning, they view the means that it would take to win as like beneath them and dirty and gross. And they'd rather be like, the principled, whatever.
Rather lose honorably.
And then there's a huge part of the Republican electorate that thinks along these lines as well, as they view a lot of these actions as like beneath them. And it's like, well, okay, well, that's not smart. I can't intellectualize that. So it must be bad. It must be wrong.
I think this is part of what is giving Trump some sense of urgency. He's been calling the past couple of days. He's been calling for the filibuster to be ended, which I tend to agree with. I think he understands that we have to ensure that the Democrats do not get in power again. If they do, like you guys said, it's probably open season. I don't think that there's anything these people are not willing to do. And it was a shock to them. You know, we have to remember, we came within like less than an inch of losing our country. If Trump had been, they wanted to do to Trump what they did to Charlie on live television, and they wanted to make you remember it and to make you scared. And if that had happened, who knows? Thank God that it didn't. But we need to recognize the stakes here. And this is not like some, we need to be worried about the midterms, but we also need to be thinking in terms of 10, 20, 30 years from now. If the Democrats do get in power, it's very scary for our country.
I think it's fascinating because
Mickey Sherrill's projected to have won.
Really?
Yep.
Let's pull up New Jersey here. This breaking news, Decision Desk has called it for Mickey Sherrill. Wow. Jack Ciattarelli has lost nearly 2-1 so far with 26% reporting.
Wow.
That's a blowout.
Well, it looks like a lot of the plays haven't.
Based on this showing, I'm actually I've been saying the whole time I think Mamdani has the edge, but that Cuomo is undervalued. I'm pretty sure Mamdani is going to win this one in New York.
Yeah.
I placed a, full disclosure, $400 trade on Cuomo to win because it pays out $5,000 if he does.
Wow.
That's a value bet because Cuomo's odds were not that bad. Internally in New York, according to call sheet data, he's 10% above. So this is interesting. Outside of New York, it's 9-1 Mamdani to win. Inside of New York, it's 49-40. Cuomo's advantage. So that said to me, the people of New York are going to weigh a little bit more heavily. And so I said, okay, I'll make a value bet, but I'm pretty sure Mamdani's going to win this.
Yeah.
It's I think a sad reflection on the Democrat Party. Kind of shows where they're headed, but that they cannot rig an election for a Cuomo in New York City anymore. I think that's kind of shows you the state of affairs of that party. I also think it shows in 2028, they are probably going to double down on this sort of third world Democratization of America, trying to double down. These people have actually not, we hear all this, well, we need to tone down the rhetoric and everything. They have not necessarily learned anything from the 2024 election. I think what they've learned is that they need to go harder, and they are doing that.
Well, that's the thing is, like, with the last two Democrat primaries, you could at best say they put their thumb on the scale to some degree, to a variety of ways. The fact that they didn't do that in the New York mayoral primary indicates that they view Mamdani's ideology as something viable for the future for their party, and that should scare the living bleep out of you. I mean, that's absolutely
it does. It's the hand eating rice with your hands ideology.
Yeah,
not good.
I think I said something about this last night, and I think that this is still true. The left still has to figure out how they're going to finance a national campaign on that kind of policy, or those kind of policies. The wealthy donors that have been Democrats, that have reliably been donating to Democrats for the past 15, 20 years, they're not going to want to give money to Mamdani or someone like Mamdani, someone that would put a national wealth tax in place, a tax on whatever your net worth is or whatever annually.
It's a Radio Rwanda thing. It was like a tax the whites policy.
Well, I mean, that is true, but like, I don't think that, even though Mamdani might be able to, or someone like Mamdani obviously can win in a municipal race in New York, but nationwide, that I don't know that they have that they would get the kind of funding necessary. I mentioned this last night. Hillary Clinton spent $1 billion. Barack Obama spent $1 billion. I'm pretty sure Joe Biden spent something like $1 billion. Kamala Harris had something around $1 billion. And Kamala Harris went in debt. Like, she ended up being, in debt. I don't see them being able to raise that kind of money if they're not going to be catering to the wealthy Democrats.
This is interesting. Kalshi was wrong. Kalshi prediction was that Miyares was going to win, and he had a decent edge. Even before, at the end of October, he was looking at around a 70% likelihood to win. That's what the prediction market said. And then as it got closer to election day, it dropped to just above 50. And as of today, it completely inverted. So the people who kept their money on Jay Jones, they're getting paid out. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Mamdani. The thing about Mamdani and Cuomo, check this out. Kalshi says someone just put $200,000 on Cuomo to win the New York City mayor election, a $1.6 million payout. I wonder if the New York establishment is going to let Mamdani win this one. I am talking about the moneyed interests. Wall Street, big finance, they don't want a Mamdani. Cuomo may have lost the primary. Sure, that can happen. I'm wondering if Kalshi is going to be wrong on this one as well.
So I think polling shows Mamdani is a shoo-in, but hot take alert right here. I actually think nationwide that Mamdani getting elected to mayor in New York City will be a benefit to Republicans nationwide. To kind of piggyback on Phil's point, it's because the only place where a person like Mamdani can be elected, it is in New York City, where you have a high concentration of socialists and immigrants who have become citizens, and specifically Southeast citizens. So there's a high concentration of that there. There's a high concentration of those immigrants and socialists, people who come all across the country. Socialists come to New York City.
How does that benefit Republicans?
It benefits Republicans because they'll be able to fearmonger around a person like Mamdani.
You could do that with Brandon Johnson.
Not as effectively. Not nearly as effectively.
Why?
Because I feel like Mamdani perfectly exemplifies a lot of the things that Republicans fearmonger. A gay, brown Muslim,
gay?
a socialist. Well, he looks gay.
Yeah.
I take him for a gay man. But the point is that the only place where a Democrat like him would be able to win is in New York City. That's why we're seeing, like, Abigail Spanberger, people would like to call her extreme.
He's not gay. Remember he had that thing where he was mad because white women didn't like him?
Yeah, I was trading on the gay race.
But this is true. He had that blog where he was like, white women don't like me because I'm brown.
Yeah.
It's not true. White women fetishize brown people.
No, that's what
disgusting.
drives a lot of these guys is like resentment against white people because they were rejected in college by attractive white women.
I think you are incorrect, good sir. I think that what's going to happen is Mamdani is going to pass the blame. Whatever happens, he's going to say it's Republicans. He's going to find some reason to be like, look at this Republican bill that intentionally sabotaged our plans to help the poor people. And then he's going to go to stupid people and is going to say, explain to me how me offering you health care was the problem. And then go, yeah, he's right.
Well, here's the thing. He's definitely going to be put in a position to fail because Trump's going to withhold federal funds. And then also, Kathy Hochul
that's
has...
my point.
Well,
he's
he has
going
an
to
excuse.
say, nothing I do is wrong. Trump did it. And he's going to show Trump quotes saying we're withholding funding. And he's going to say, our plan would work if we weren't at war with the president.
I think New York City, people who live, New Yorkers will see the city turn to shit and then will blame him. Also, in New York City, mayors always become unpopular within the city confines.
I'm going to push back again. People are fleeing New York already, have been for the past several years, and there's a projection that up to 1 million people may flee if Mamdani wins. What's going to happen then is all the polling is going to spike, it's going to skyrocket for Mamdani because the people who oppose Mamdani will leave, and all that's left will be people too stupid to realize his plans don't work. I was talking with Batya Ungar-Sargon today, and she made a great point. She said, all the things that he promised, he literally has no authority to do. The mayor can't make free buses or make them go faster. It's not a function of the mayor. City council does that. The only thing he'd actually affect is the police department by firing the commissioner. That's it. So he's going to people and he's being like, I'll make your buses free. And if they asked him how, because the mayor can't do that, he'd be like, But that's how stupid these people are.
Things in the city will get worse, and they need to get worse for New Yorkers to realize that change is needed.
We thought that
we're going to have the pendulum swing with Mamdani,
okay,
and then in 2 years down the line, it's going to swing
We've been there,
back the other
done
way.
that. Do you not remember the past several years with Chicago? We had Lori Lightfoot. It went to crap, and then they were like, let's make it worse and do Brandon Johnson. And it's only gotten worse in Chicago, and they have not changed their voting patterns.
I don't think most Americans know who Brandon Johnson even is. Mamdani is a national leftist figure, and he will fail in New York City, and then there will be a pushback against him down the line. There's also one thing...
I think you are insane because you keep touching the fire and going, sooner or later, the fire won't be hot.
New Yorkers need to touch fire sometimes. I feel like that's normal
Chicago,
for New Yorkers.
Been there, done
Americans
that.
don't care about
Francisco,
Chicago.
been there, done that. Los Angeles, been there, done that. It's not changing.
There's this
Seattle, Portland. Here's what's happening. People are fleeing these cities. The Pacific Northwest and the West, they're fleeing to Colorado and Arizona, and it's entrenching communist rule in these jurisdictions. The reason why we're shocked to find Portland police arresting Nick Sorter is because any police officer who opposed the leftists left a long time ago, and the cops who were there are happy to do these things. Mamdani is going to cause an exodus of moderate to right-leaning people if he wins, and then you're going to see his polls skyrocket. He's going to say, see, the people of New York like me even more now. No, it's because the people who hate you left. Then people outside are going to be like, yeah, that's why we left, but it won't matter. It's geographic hyperpolarization, and no one in this country's voting patterns are changing. I'll put it this way. If the people who lean conservative flee to a conservative jurisdiction, it will not change the amount of congressional seats or federal power we have. The state, if they flee to West Virginia, guess what? West Virginia is still going to be 90% Republican. Nothing's going to change. But it's going to make the blue state much, much bluer. And the amount of seats they have in Congress, it's not going to change for the next 5 years. So it's going to entrench far left lunatics that get into Congress. And then we're going to see that battle at the federal level. And it's going to escalate in the next few years, 2028. If Trump's not on the ballot, we are going to have communist blue states and anti-communist red states. And you can predict what comes next.
Yeah, well, and the thing that makes Mamdani so unprecedented in the American political zeitgeist is that he's like a third worldist fundamentally. So you're looking at New York City. And the thing that's driving the majority of this, the reason we're not going to get another Giuliani is because there's been a massive demographic overhaul of New York City. Yeah. So we don't even have the environment.
They called it for Jay Jones.
Yeah. Right. So that's what I mean. So we don't even have the environment to even like vote for a Giuliani because all those voters are in Florida and North Carolina, and they've been replaced with people that would be the constituency for a Zoran Mamdani.
To Tate's point, the statistics, there were some recently that said native-born New Yorkers, Cuomo had like a 15 or 20 point majority, right?
Yep.
For foreign-born New Yorkers, I don't even know what a foreign-born New Yorker is, by the way. But a foreign-born New Yorkers was like 30 or 40 or 50 points for Mamdani. So this shows you that this is the strategy, right? They try to import all these people who, why are the people from third world socialist countries are voting for a third world socialist? Well, it's pretty obvious. Right. I tend to agree with Tim's point. I think what you two were sort of dancing around there is that progressives fundamentally are incapable of self-government. They will not change. They want to make things worse and worse. They are not going to just suddenly be like, okay, well, now it's time to vote for a Cuomo or the moderate Democrat. They are going to double down until communism is fundamentally utopian. They are going to keep voting for this person who is going to promise the free buses and whatever else. As things get noticeably worse around them, they will continue to do that no matter what.
Well, I suspect that Republicans in moderate swing districts will use Mamdani as a foil as he becomes the face of the Democrat Party. Mamdani's politics wouldn't work in Virginia. Spanberger's running as a moderate. There's also one thing that I wanted to hit on because I feel like it's been underreported on, especially in our circles, and that is the New York City matching funds programs. What is that? It's that where there are eligible candidates who agree on spending limits and strict disclosure rules, and then they receive an 8-to-1 match in public funds for the first $250 of each contribution of any New York City resident. What does that mean? It means if you're a New York City resident and you donated $250 to Cuomo or Curtis Lewa, then they receive, $1,750 from the government, from your tax dollars to continue campaigning. So it's an 8-to-1 tax matching to your contributions to your campaign. But what does that mean? That incentivizes candidates to stay in the race a lot longer than they have to be. So I'm not accusing Curtis Lewa of anything here, but I'm just saying it benefits his camp and the people who work for him to continue this race as long as he can, because he can run a racket based on government tax dollars being sent to you on an 8-to-1 basis, although he's going to lose. So it doesn't matter if he's going to lose. It's going to increase his name ID. He's only incentivized to stay in the race and continue to get tax dollars that he gets to send off to his cronies. So I think this is a major issue in New York City in campaign finance.
I got a question for you, Elaad. With everything we've seen over the past several years with the COVID lockdowns, I want to remind people of something. I was eating some delicious pimento cheese from, was it Palmetto? Is that the name of the company?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I want to make sure.
I just love pimento cheese. I'm a golfer, so they do pimento cheese at Augusta.
Palmetto cheese. Do you guys remember how bad it was in this country? How insane it was in the United States that the Palmetto company, home-style pimento cheese, when the founder of this company said he supported Trump, they started to pull his products from the marketplace. They tried to cancel his cheese product simply for saying he voted for a guy for president. I don't think people understand. They don't remember how bad it was. Several years ago, if you publicly said you supported Trump, they would try to fire you and destroy your life. We have won tremendously. Despite all of that which we went through with the lockdowns, and largely in these blue states, with cancel culture, how do people vote for a man like Jay Jones? Elaad, you said that in New York they'll learn their lesson from Mamdani, but I'm pointing out it's been nearly a decade of extreme far-left abuses and insanity to the point where we have pushed back tremendously, and they're still voting for a man like Jay Jones. Why haven't they learned?
Democrats stayed committed to their candidate because in our current political climate, people are hardened in their political beliefs, no matter how good or bad a candidate may be. They do not care. The politician is a symbol that embodies their beliefs. I also think, because we've mentioned it so many times, it's worth reading the Jay Jones texts. So he's talking about, I don't know if you want to pull it up, but I have it pulled up. He's talking about the Speaker of the Virginia House. He said, if those guys die before me, I will go to their funerals to piss on their graves, send them out awash in something. 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, that was the Speaker of the House at the time, Hitler and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with 2 of the worst people you know, and he receives 2 bullets every time. He also says, I told you this before, only when people feel pain personally do they move more on policy. Do I think Todd and Jennifer are evil?
You were talking about hoping Jennifer Gilbert's children would die. Yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. He wanted the children of his opponents killed so that they would change their view on gun control. And specifically, he wanted his opponent's children to be shot and murdered so that the parents would have a change of heart and vote to ban guns. What do you think a man like that does with the power of the state? He is literally telling you that it is his preference someone shoot children to force. Now, you may give him the light approach and say, well, what he's saying is if their children are murdered, they'll have an epiphany. We should have banned guns. I think that's naive. I think he's saying he is willing to have those children murdered as a threat to those people. Change your policies or else. It doesn't matter if the idea is extortion, coercion, or manipulation. The idea is, in his world, whatever reason, those children must die so that he can have his agenda accomplished.
I think part of this is just the political reality on the ground. I think the flashpoint that got Youngkin elected were a bunch of these insane transgender policies in Virginia at the time.
It's critical race theory. Remember that? We don't even use that phrase anymore.
And also the former governor's abortion statement.
Yes, that too. So I think part of this were these huge, like, the left was going way out of control with their like trans insanity and the critical race theory, as you said. Now it's a little bit different. The flashpoint is Trump is kind of in control, as we would say, or in power. The Virginia Democrats are a little bit scared. They don't like that, and it's not like there's these insane things going on. I mean, they might be going on, but it's not as bad as it was. And part of this too is I think the Republicans ran a very weak candidate. I don't know.
Totally.
I don't think Winsome Sears was ever like going to be like.
Agreed.
I don't think she was nearly as strong as Youngkin, no matter what.
But how did Jay Jones win?
I
He's
think,
down ticket.
Yeah,
I also think it's worth considering.
It's a Democrats again. Yeah. So
People are sick, I think, of the pearl clutching. I think his comments in these private conversations were gross, but I think generally Americans are sick of the pearl clutching around rhetoric.
No way, dude. Never in my lifetime would anyone get away with a statement like that in politics.
It just happened. He just did.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying it's crazy. Could you imagine in the 90s? Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, because I wasn't. But my understanding is, I could not. When people were calling Obama a Muslim, John McCain's like, no, we don't say that. He's a good man. He's a good man. Mm-hmm. And people were like, oh, these people are so tepid. Now you've got Jay Jones being like, yeah, kill the kids.
Oh yeah.
And people are like, that's fine. That's totally fine. Vote for him.
Yeah, Howard Dean like laughed weird and then lost.
Seriously, he went. Woohoo!
I feel like though
They just killed Charlie Kirk and elected a man who says murder your opponent's children.
Yep.
Totally, and these comments are gross, but I feel like people are sick of the pearl clutching because it's both sides just bitching about
No, bro,
other sides'
you're way
private
off.
conversations. No, because
It's
that's
not
what's going
people
on.
sick of the pearl clutching.
Democrats are complaining about, oh, look at these college Republicans' text messages. They're talking about Hitler. Oh, look at Nick Fuentes. He says he loves Hitler.
That's
and then on
fake.
the other side,
That's
they're
fake.
saying Republicans are just pointing to these guys' private
Fake.
text messages and saying,
fake.
oh, look at this guy. He's saying,
We get
oh,
it.
the
We get
Gilbert
it.
gets two
We get
bullets
it.
and not
You're
these
wrong,
other
and it's
dictators.
fake.
What am I wrong about there?
The Democrats are pretending to care about these things. It is not real. You do not simultaneously say, oh, heavens me, the dude said a naughty word, and then advocate for murdering Charlie Kirk and his family or whatever.
Well, if you follow their thought process, if these people do love Hitler as their alleged texts do say they do, then they'd be saying they're fighting fascism.
No.
By their logic, I don't agree with
Elaad,
them.
you cannot simultaneously be like, I am deeply offended by the words they've used, and then privately call for murdering children.
No, because
It
in their
proves-
opinions, they're
Elaad,
breeding little fascists.
No.
They're breeding little fascists.
Okay, let's
That's
try
what he's
this
saying in the
again.
text.
Let's try this again, Elaad. What is worse, murdering children or saying naughty words?
Murdering children.
So when the people claim they are not for violence, and it's the Republicans and the right who are responsible for all the violence, are they telling the truth or lying?
They're lying.
They're lying. Do you think people who espouse murdering children, murdering Charlie Kirk, and killing conservatives care whether or not someone says a naughty word?
No, they do not.
Then they're lying. Okay, so you
Correct.
agree.
It's all political
It's
posturing.
fake.
Yes.
So therein lies the point. These Democrats are not actually having an argument. They're not tired
but
of
I
the
guess
pearl
my
clutching.
point is, I think people tune out when it's like, oh, look at this guy's private text message. Oh, he said this bad thing in his private text messages. And that's why I think this didn't resonate with voters. Clearly, these attacks on Jay Jones, the Democrat voters in Virginia clearly didn't care very much.
Well, they did.
Because they want to kill you. Do you think there are Democrats a lot who will kill you for being Jewish?
They wouldn't say it was for being Jewish. They'd say it's for
I'm not
being a Zionist,
saying
but
what they
yes,
would
I
say.
think so. Yes.
I agree, and I think it's exponentially increasing. There is a faction of people on the right who probably will kill people for being Jewish, but it's very small. Although indeed, yes. On the left, I saw videos from these universities where a guy, for simply wearing a Star of David, got physically attacked on a university grounds. These people do not care if you say naughty words. They know they're lying, and they're tricking you because Republicans are retarded. Republicans are so stupid. Donald Trump says we have to end the filibuster now and push through our agenda. And John Thune's like, no, I don't think we have the votes. And there's people in the chat right now that are like, but Tim, what'll happen when the Democrats take power and there's no filibuster? If the Democrats take power, there won't be a filibuster. They'll end it in 2 seconds. They'll pack the court and they will kill your children. That's hyperbolic, I know, but Jay Jones has said he wants your children dead so that you'll change on policy. Now, I wonder if that means he hopes someone else kills your kids, or if it means, when push comes to shove, he'd be willing to orchestrate the murder of your children so that you finally come around and do as you're told. Let me put it like this. There are videos and photos all across the internet from Halloween of leftists and liberals dressed like a bleeding to death Charlie Kirk.
They did with Trump, too.
And with Trump, of course. Yeah. And they're dancing and laughing about it. There's Caitlin Bennett on the ground as a woman says maybe she should be murdered, too, because you people are abhorrent. So when the Democrats are like, oh, well, he said a naughty word. They are lying to the retarded Republicans who are like, I'm really sorry that someone said a naughty word. I can't believe someone would do that. We should yell at Nick Fuentes. And then they elect the guy who wants to kill kids. They don't care about the naughty words. They never did. They wanted you dead a long time ago. They firebombed the White House grounds in St. John's Church and forced Donald Trump into an emergency bunker and then mocked him for it. And Republicans keep going, well, let's try and win this debate. They're not debating you. Well, they murdered Charlie Kirk. They tried to kill Trump 3 times.
The left has a total monopoly on on political terrorism, right? So we have a couple peaceful protesters go to the Capitol, and that is the national scandal, right? They almost seized the government. They took over the government. It was an insurrection. But we see this, and we cannot call out hypocrisy anymore. I think there should be a specific standard that is just consistent.
No, but the thing is, they don't care about hypocrisy. Like,
no, they don't.
Saying we like calling out hypocrisy doesn't work.
No.
So there's no point in calling out hypocrisy, because for them, it's not hypocrisy, it's hierarchy. Yep. It's okay for them to do things, whereas it's not okay for the right to do things. So the idea that it's hypocrisy, like, we need to throw that out, because it's just when we're in power, we can do things that we want to do. When you're in power, you're not allowed to do anything. And that's the world we live in now.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.